There'll be it's a specific use tax. We're going before the Board of County Commissioners, so citizens get to vote on this measure. So, it's in the citizens' hands. Once we provide them with a list and we, fill out the appropriate paperwork, then it'll go on the general election ballot in November. Alright everyone, it's 7 p.m. We'll go ahead and call the regular council meeting of Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 to order at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity we have of serving you. We pray that you be with each of us. Give us the wisdom and the guidance that we need. Continue to help the city to grow closer to you and your desires. We pray that you continue to guide and direct everybody that's involved. For we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
That's a move.
Second. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 2nd, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Council, do we entertain a motion to approve the annual audit?
Your Honor, I move that we approve our annual audit.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded to approve the annual audit. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Moving on to nominations for recognition. Is there any nominations for recognition this evening from the council? Hearing none, I have one. I would like to nominate Betty Sample for just being one of the great people of Newcastle and kind of Newcastle's heart. She's a fantastic human being and she's always doing wonderful things in our community. And I've actually had a couple of constituents come forward to me to ask that we recognize Betty Sample. Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to certificates of recognition, starting with Erin Darlington from the Natural Resources District. So the council, Don Stevenson, nominated you for recognition. So it's to the Weston County Natural Resources District to thank you for promoting a love for both reading and nature. The interactive story walk at Centennial Park is greatly appreciated. And I went ahead and took the liberty of having 2 certificates made, so you could have one, and, because I wanted to name you specifically,
Okay,
and then one for the district office.
all right, thank you.
So, thank you.
Thanks for letting me take over.
And then next, I'd like to offer a certificate of recognition to Deborah Lakin, Hoover's Peace. Yeah, so thank you for your efforts and unwavering commitment in serving our community. Your kindness and compassion have not gone unnoticed. So thank you so much for all that you've done for our community.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank
You guys are
you.
great. Thank you so much. Awesome. Plus you brought a big crew too.
Yes,
so
you did.
It feels like our council meeting's getting a little bit of attendance. All right, on to citizens business verbal. There is none tonight. Citizens business in writing. Item number 1, Chris Hislop, letter of interest for the Weston County Travel Commission. So Stacy, this came in as a, we have a vacancy on the Weston County Travel Commission board, and this gentleman provided a letter initially, but it was, wasn't it?
It was initially addressed to the commissioners.
It was addressed to the commissioners. So then he resubmitted it so that he could ask the city council if we would approve him to serve on the Weston County Travel Committee. So I'll go ahead and read as follows. Residency verification and professional standing. Dear Weston County City Council. Okay. Accompanying my formal letter of interest for the Weston County Travel Commission, I would like to clarify my residency and professional standing within Newcastle. I am a resident of Newcastle residing at 1103 South Summit Avenue, Lot A21. As a resident within city limits, I am qualified elector and deeply invested in growing of our community. Professionally, in my dual role as the bar manager and bartender at the Super 8 by Wyndham, I have my finger on the pulse of the visitor experience in Newcastle. I am on the front lines daily, seeing exactly how lodging tax is generated and how visitor spending flows through our local economy. My position allows me to bridge the gap between national brand lodging and the local entertainment experiences that entice visitors to stay longer and spend more. By serving as the director of WUBS at my home venue, I am creating a ground zero for statewide tourism that directly fuels the Commission's budget through the Super 8 by Wyndham's high-capacity lodging. I serve as the bar manager and bartender at the Super 8 by Wyndham in Newcastle, 2 Fountain Plaza Road. In addition to my daily management roles at this facility, I am the director of the Wyoming Ultimate Bartender Showdown. Well, that was what WUBS stood for. By basing our operation at the Super 8 by Wyndham, I am ensuring that this inaugural statewide event is directly tied to one of our county's primary lodging and hospitality hubs. I look forward to discussing how my frontline experience at a major franchise location can benefit the Commission. Sincerely, Chris Hislop, Director, Wyoming Ultimate Bartender Showdown, Bar Manager at the Super 8 by Wyndham, Newcastle.
Your Honor, may I move that we put Mr. Hislop's request with the Personnel Committee and let somebody have a conversation with this gentleman and then come back to the council with some type of information. I don't know the person, and I don't know, any of you know this person? Let's get to know him first, and then before we pass on anything, please.
There's a motion on the floor to send Chris Hislop before the personnel committee to have a conversation and get to know this individual. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. I thought that was a good suggestion, John. It would be nice to see who he is. Moving on to Black Hills Plumbing License Request for citizens business and writing. So Black Hills Plumbing, 326 West Main Street, Newcastle, Wyoming. All fees have been paid. Copies of their license and proof of insurance and bond have been provided for 2026. The following is requesting a plumbing license. Contractor's name is Black Hills Plumbing. Master plumber is William Simianer, and apprentice Doug Anderson. Do we have a motion to approve the plumbing license?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Okay. Moving on to old business, where the mayor's gonna start talking a lot. Item number 1, building inspector. So council, I had been talking about how I thought the prospect of sharing a building inspector with the town of Upton was gonna be a wonderful endeavor, and that I thought it would be great to share with another community. But through conversations that I've had with some of their staff and conversation that I had with their mayor today, unfortunately, they don't think it's not off the table forever. If they have a need for a building inspector more in the future, but they said it was kind of like what Councilman Butt said, that it would be hard for them to keep a building inspector busy, the volume that we would need to do a cost sharing endeavor with them. So I said, well, once a week, no. Once every 2 weeks, no. Once a month, no. Once every other month, maybe. And so I don't think it's gonna be in our best interest right now, but as things kick off, or if we, some of the things that might happen in our county start happening, then it could be a possibility in the future. But I think it's in bed right now. Is there any questions about the building inspector position? I guess since we're talking about the building inspector, we're also trying to locate a building inspector, and then there was some discussion last council meeting about, I heard, and you said that you thought that you thought it was gonna be a part-time position at the last council meeting. And then I thought somebody else said that they thought it was gonna be a part-time position, but we were going for a full-time position. So is that a discussion that we need to have tonight about the building inspector? Am I putting words in your mouth, or did you say
I
that?
don't remember saying that, but
I thought you
I
did.
might have.
Okay. Well, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. I thought you had said something about everybody thought it was gonna be a part-time position.
I think we need some information back on how much that building inspector work will be, because, you know, when I look at the engineering work on there, then what Matrix had to take care of, hasn't been that many projects right now. That a building inspector would be a full-time position, so, me and you, I would need more information to say, you know, if it's a full-time position.
So do we need to send this to committee then? And then if so, which committee does it fit in?
Personnel.
Personnel and finance committee?
You guys are busy.
Your
Yeah.
Honor, is there any way this position can work with Greg? Because Greg was telling us that he's a couple positions short in his staff, and so maybe, I don't know, I guess it's just a thought.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Councilman, yes, Steve and I have actually discussed some of that. Not so much the physical work, but some other stuff that we were falling behind on that they could definitely do for us. Which, if you would like, we can bring that up to the personnel committee meeting, or at the personnel committee meeting.
Okay. So you'll work with the personnel committee to have a discussion in regard to the building inspector. Okay. So is there any other questions about building inspector right now? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 2, old business, penny tax. So I went before the Board of County Commissioners today, and we discussed the 6 penny tax. The mayor of Upton, Mayor Trandle, came and sat with me before the Board of County Commissioners, and because we wanted to provide a united front. So the way it works is the 2 incorporated municipalities in Weston County have to come before the Board of County Commissioners to present. So we got marching orders. His council was in favor of doing the 6 penny special purpose tax, and then we were too. So it's we need to come back to the next Board of County Commissioners meeting and provide them with a list of projects that we want to see funded. And at this moment, I believe that we're trying to focus on the capital improvements plan that we already have with our water and sewer, and we're trying to use the 6 penny tax as a way to complete the paving of the road for each project. So the third of the road that needs paved, that would have to come out of the general fund, would be funded through the 6 penny tax. So we get our projects done that we already have a schedule for, and then the last third of the road would get paved too, so we have a completely paved road when we're through. So I think that's the idea right now. So Public Works Supervisor, you're gonna come to me with a list of projects and costs.
Mr. Mayor, yes, about halfway done with it. Right now, I'm looking at eight years worth, but I'm trying to get the last 2 years. That's another subject they're gonna talk about tonight, so.
Because that was brought up to, wait,
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I had people come to me, citizens, and said that they were not gonna be for it if they didn't know what it was gonna go for. And I said, well, that's what's under discussion, so.
There'll be it's a specific use tax. We're going before the Board of County Commissioners, so citizens get to vote on this measure. So it's in the citizens' hands. Once we
Right.
provide them with a list and we fill out the appropriate paperwork, then it'll go on the general election ballot in November, and then we'll see, it'll lie in the voters' hands. So we'll see if,
So will they know Are they gonna have that list, the taxpayers?
I'm sure, I think we'll have to do some, we're gonna have
We'll
to
have to campaign for it.
we're gonna have to campaign for this one. And because, people will need to know, there's gonna have to be some public outreach and education.
Well, and that's what I said to
regarding-
them, I said, now it's in your hands if it does get on the ballot. And if it doesn't go, then you have a chance.
And then, I also presented about the half-penny economic development tax. And unfortunately, I was ill-equipped to present the half-penny economic development tax. And it's actually, the way that it read, because the commissioners, it seems like every time I go before the Board of County Commissioners, I get a little bit of schooling. And so I found out that the half-penny economic development tax would be specific to Newcastle because Upton doesn't want to utilize that tax. So it would be specific to Newcastle. And my homework was that I need to go and find out if we need to have an economic development board in place to provide fiduciary responsibility for the funding that we generate under that half-penny tax. So,
Probably you will.
yeah,
Well,
so,
don't we have one?
I think that there's a board. So it might be something that we need to talk about a little bit more, and I need to figure out if, our own council doesn't qualify, for economic development in our community. So I just need to do a little bit more research, so I'll be able to present at the next council meeting, and then I would like it if the council would allow me to go back before the, Board of County Commissioners at their next regularly scheduled meeting to, provide the list of 6 penny tax projects and to come back with my findings in regard to the economic development half penny. So with that, I would ask if the council would entertain a motion to allow me to go back before the Board of County Commissioners.
Yes. I move that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. As long as you're prepared to go there and.
Gotta get in.
Yeah, I hope I will be. So we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carried. Thanks, council. On the penny tax, so the Board of County Commissioners was excited that we're actually trying to have some skin in the game, and that we're trying to show the legislators that we're serious about getting some of these projects done, and that we're trying to provide match funding. So moving on to item number 3, engineer sharing. Engineer Stephen Dietrich came with me before the Board of County Commissioners today. Because one of the county commissioners had actually approached me and asked if we could share his services, because they currently contract their engineering work out. And I had talked to Steve, and he was amicable to the idea, but today it was just informational purposes only. The Board of County Commissioners wasn't ready to move on anything. It came out today that sometimes their hours that they need an engineer for are a little bit more than what we had initially heard. So they said sometimes in a month they need an engineer for 40 hours, and then sometimes they need an engineer for an hour. So we had initially heard 10 hours a month. So in the spirit of being good neighbors to our county commissioners right across the parking lot here, we were trying to be able to share resources. And so we told the county commissioners if they would like to discuss it further, that they can give us a call, and then we might be able to discuss it a little bit further if they get serious about wanting to share. So, did you have anything to add, or did I get all the points, Engineer Dietrich?
Mayor, members of the council, I did hear one aspect that they're willing to talk about details, but there would maybe have to be amongst themselves first, but then they would want to be able to do the same thing with representation of the council as well, somewhere along the way.
I have to say, you know, while everybody else is thinking about running for election and how to do that, we have a budget. We have a serious budget. We have a legislature has weighed in, I think, on one vision of Wyoming. And I think it's very important to be thoughtful. And let me say, not a legislature, a joint appropriations committee. But that's the job I have. That's what I was elected to do. And I'm not, when I always tell this story. So Dad told me to go water the chickens. And so I spent the entire morning figuring out a way I didn't have to carry the pails of water over to the chickens. And at noon, he said, "So, did you get the chickens watered?" And I said, "I got this really cool thing, Dad." And he said, "But I told you, go water the chickens." And I think I've got that job. Make sure that we get through this budget session. Thank you.
Yeah, I just put a lot of emphasis when we spoke with the county commissioners today on the fact that we all live in Weston County, and I want to eliminate stigmas, and I want to have a good working relationship with the Board of County Commissioners and our neighboring communities. So whenever we can provide or share resources, then I just wanted them to know that we're available. And I said there might be things that I need to ask of them too. So just trying to foster good relationships with the other boards in our county. Is there any questions on engineer sharing? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move on to new business. Weston County Natural Resource District's Northeast Wyoming Habitat Improvement Project. Thank you. So, dear Mr. Budd and the Wyoming Wildlife and Natural Resource Trust Board, the Newcastle City Council, the Newcastle City Council supports the Weston County Natural Resource District's Northeast Wyoming Habitat Improvement Project, with the goal of improving wildlife habitat and reducing bark beetles and wildfire concerns. With the close proximity of the city of Newcastle to the existing forests, wildfire is always a concern, and the efforts by the Weston County Natural Resource District to reduce this threat are appreciated. The forests across the Black Hills and the wildlife living there are also an important part of the draw for people in the region, both to live here and also to visit the recreation opportunities. It is of growing importance to the local economy of the region as more people discover the Wyoming Black Hills. The mountain pine beetle epidemic devastated forests in the Black Hills in northeast Wyoming over a decade ago. Previous active forest management and quick reaction to the epidemic helped curb the worst of it. The council appreciates funding provided by the WWNRT in 2014 for mitigation efforts, which greatly contributed to keeping our forests green. This was vital to our local timber economy, as well as recreational use and wildlife sustainability. The Weston County Natural Resource District has worked hard since then to continue these efforts, and this funding will go a long way to continue this effort and help prepare for or prevent the next wildfire or pest infestation. The Newcastle City Council supports the Natural Resource District's proposal to implement projects that will selectively thin overpopulated forests to increase forage and to reduce the risk of disease, pest infestation, and wildfires. To achieve landscape scale impacts, it's important to assist private landowners in treating their forested acres. This will complement efforts on BLM and U.S. Forest Service lands, as well as state lands and private industry through logging and our timber management projects. We encourage the WWNRT to support this project. The Weston County Natural Resource District has been an active leader in the county's conservation efforts, and we support their commitment to pursue projects that will enhance wildlife habitat, reduce overgrown forests, and improve natural resource values throughout northeast Wyoming. Yeah, so this was a letter that was drafted by Caleb Carter. So, it is in support of a grant we're writing for the Wyoming Wildlife and Natural Trust. The project is called the Northeast Wyoming Habitat Improvement Project and will be used to continue forest management efforts on private land through a cost share program. So we are partnering with the Crook County Natural Resource District as well. If the council is okay with this and could approve it at the next meeting, that would be great. I'll stop by this afternoon and talk to you about it later. Thanks, Caleb. Well, I didn't get to talk to Caleb, but it sounds like a good endeavor, so would the council make a motion to approve the natural resources pursuit of grant funding to help mitigate pine beetle activity in our area?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Alright, well, that was a conversation stopper. So let's move on to item number 2. The Newcastle Recreation Board request for guidance. Has any of the council had the opportunity to look at the letter for the request for guidance in the rec board? I was busy with my day job today, so I didn't get the chance to scrutinize the letter in detail.
I think they're worried about the fact that they've got 4 members and they're having a hard time getting any new members, which is about every board in Weston County.
It's hard to keep board staffed in our community. I don't see a copy of the letter.
I don't think we can come up with a draft.
There you go.
All right. Well, I've been doing lots of reading tonight, but I guess I could read one more.
We all got a copy, you don't have to if you don't want to.
All right. Well, so does the boards committee want to reach out to them and offer them any, or,
It could be good to get an idea on what they're thinking on what their expenditure that they provide funding for, because I know during some of the meetings, some of the things that we scrutinize who they fund for and why it goes to that specific group. I don't think we've really limited who it goes to, who they fund.
have it so far. Can we tell them, or can they spend money on advertising, like buy an ad in the paper or on social media or anything?
I think we usually just run their ads for them, don't we? When they have
We have.
board vacancies.
That's what I would suggest that we would.
I think we should at least do that, and then, who was, I'm on the boards committee, who else is on
So,
Chris.
Chris,
it? Can we figure out to go to their next meeting?
yeah, we'll figure out.
Just sit down with them and see where they are.
Visit with them and see what the concerns or directions that they need.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think, everybody was a little shell shocked after the meeting where I lost my temper when they were, in the chambers, so I, don't wanna make that mistake again. So it's nice of them to ask for some clarification prior to, going through the budget process. So if you guys could arrange that, I think that sounds good. Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the, recreation board request for guidance? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to committee council member reports. Item number 1, WAM conference. Last week I got the privilege of attending the Wyoming Association of Municipalities Conference down in Cheyenne at Little America. The big, right now the legislature is convening. So there was a legislative reception where we were allowed all the mayors and clerks, city managers got, as well as the county commissioners were also meeting at the same time. So we all got to engage in the legislative reception and speak with some of our legislators. I told somebody, I got to see Commissioner Ertman at the convening, and I told somebody later that it was almost as awkward as high school. But the legislators are currently working through the legislative process of introducing all of their bills, and so during my attendance at the land convention, we also got to attend some legislative committee meetings. The one that I attended was in reference to using hydrogen as fuel in Wyoming and the way that we would tax it. And then one of them was an expedited housing bill that would, this one actually passed, that would provide larger municipalities the ability to approve cookie cutter plans for houses, so that it sped up the process of approving building permits. So if you were building similar buildings in a subdivision, you'd only have to approve the plans once, and then they could cookie cutter create the other houses. And so that one actually passed, and it was going to go before the House and the Senate. But anyway, one of the biggest topics of discussion was the cut in property taxes. So the cut in property taxes is hurting small municipalities and districts across the state. And one of the ways that they described property tax, because when people approach me about taxes in our community, they talk about how they believe that any tax is basically a theft of government. But one of the ways that we were kind of advised to combat that language was to talk about when you pay off your house and you're still paying property taxes, you're not really paying property taxes, you're paying for services that you're provided in the community. So
the new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor, the deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime. is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Those same people that say that we're leveraging property taxes from them, still expect an ambulance to show up or a police officer to show up when they need a police officer, and they need the services that we provide. And a lot of those are funded through their property taxes. So cutting the property tax is kind of hurtful to Wyoming communities, and we don't have economy of scale in Wyoming. So, spreading out costs among a small population, when our state population is smaller than a lot of other states' biggest city, spread out across an area as big as Wyoming is, you just can't leverage as much funding. So it's important that we pay our property taxes. Well, that was my big takeaway from the land convention. I was sorry that none of the other council members were able to attend. And I want to bring you next time we go to WAM, Stacy. Is there any questions about the land conference? Now I soapbox for 5 minutes. Hearing nothing, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 2, the Economic Development Committee. So the Economic Development Committee met with some of Senator Barrasso's staffers here in the state. So we met with Kylie Anderson. She's a field representative in my office. When was that? Last Monday.
Last one, yeah.
Yeah, last Monday. They just wanted to know if we needed to get anything on the senator's radar, and they wanted to know what kind of projects we were engaged in Newcastle. So we had a nice conversation with Kylie and her partner that came. I don't remember what her name was, but she said she's new. So
She's the Casper one.
Yeah.
She worked out of the Casper office. And
She's new to the office down there in Casper.
yeah, it was a good conversation.
We did talk about the increase of the diameter of the gas pipe coming into Newcastle for, getting better gas service. And that's the only critical thing I thought we talked about.
Yeah. And then talked about, the impact that maybe the rare earth minerals are gonna have, that Upton's already in the process of refining, and we're mining in Crook County. So anyway, it was a nice conversation, and I just wanted to report to the council. Is there any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Personnel Committee.
Well, we tried to set up a meeting with Caitlin last week, but wasn't able to get in touch with her. And then I was gone to Houston the rest of the week. We did get, Clerk Haggerty was able to get in touch with her, so our meeting will be tomorrow with her to go over some of the job-related discussions and that with it, so we'll find out and see more information after the board meeting.
So in this day and age, Councilman Stevenson, it's become commonplace to get the text message breakup. But so I received a text message this evening at 6:48, and she is no longer interested in attending the committee meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, we never had anything back.
I didn't
You
check it
didn't
at
even think about
6:48.
coming.
Not as a 4-5.
no, so, I mean, I probably shouldn't. Thanks, though. All right.
Okay, so we are not having a meeting tomorrow then.
Okay, I guess that's the recommendation of the committee, is that we're not having, so great people in the council chambers audience tonight. If you have a friend or relative that is interested in economic development, we're having a very difficult time finding somebody. It's a part-time position. There will be on-the-job training and the opportunity to train out of state. And it's to further our economic development project that we're currently working with RCAC to complete for our community. So if anybody has any ideas, we'd love to hear them, and we'd love to get somebody in that role. It pays $24.46 an hour, I think. Yeah, $24 an hour, but it's only projected to get about 15 to 20 hours per week. And you'd have a desk down in City Hall, and it'd be in regard to economic development. Is there any, does the Personnel Committee have anything else to report on?
Sounds like we're gonna be busy, so we'll have one.
I was disappointed to get that text message this evening. I was excited to move forward with the project. Okay, moving on to item number 4, Joint Powers Dispatch Board. Council, the crazy long named entity. Could you help me, Chief?
Not that guy, he's the one who came up with it. City of Newcastle, Town of Upton, and County of Weston Combined Communications Dispatch Joint Powers Board.
Oh my God.
Letterhead?
I just studied that.
That almost uses every letter in the alphabet.
I should be publicly reprimanded. We argued forever on trying to get that name, but it was like, well, we can't have it be, Weston County or just Newcastle, so it had to be the long form.
Area Communications.
Say that again?
Area Communications.
Yeah, but then you have no reference for grants, any of that. We talked at length, I tried and tried, and I failed.
That's terrible.
So, this was presented at the Board of County Commissioners meeting today. The Joint Powers Board, with the super long name that was just referenced, is out of compliance with the state auditor still. And the county commissioners are bound by statute to consider dissolution. So, after we worked so very hard for so very long to get this done, and then there's a lot of the process that I'm not super familiar with, but they would have to dissolve the entity and then appoint another board. And so I was to understand that dispatch services wouldn't go away, but they would have to revamp the board or do something in regard to, so.
We can't just fix it.
No.
Whatever's wrong, we just fix it.
Well, I'm hoping that we can get the requirements of the audit to fix the problem. And I was to understand that there was some kind of problem with the initial budget. And numbers for the initial budget that was provided when it formed a couple of years ago was one of the things that was hanging it up. But anyway, some of that stuff is going to get discussed tomorrow at 16:30, 4:30 at the county annex in the county attorney's office. So if, and then they also referenced a statute 18-3-525 that's in regard to dissolution. But if any of the council, I mean, we worked so hard, we signed the agreement, So, we're kind of involved, so if you'd like to attend the meeting tomorrow at 4:30, then it's a public meeting, you're all welcome to do so.
Who's pushing the dissolution of this? So what entity?
The state auditor.
Okay, is there some way, one of our senators or somebody could maybe go visit with this person and tell him to cool his jets? Seriously, I mean, this is 3 years of work or better on our joint powers board, and it's all set up, it's there to work, the people are working in the office, and this clown thinks he can just shut it down?
Well, I think the state auditor is a lady, but.
Well, then this she-clown thinks she can shut it down?
What?
This is ridiculous.
Well, so there is a requirement to provide the appropriate reporting and paperwork. So,
Well, so let's gather it up and give it to her, whatever the hell she needs.
I would like to see, the board, meet the requirements of the audit, so.
Would you like me to expound on where that's at?
Yes, I would love it. Thanks, Chief. And then,
Sorry to interject.
yeah, well, so that's the thing too that I wanted to discuss with you, Chief, is maybe, you know, I guess when we ask you about the Joint Powers Board, you usually provide a report, but it seems like it's been a while, so,
We have provided everything that we can provide. When you talk about the inception of the board, apparently there was not a budget formally submitted to the state. And in talking to staff from the Department of Audit, they said I guess my impression of it was that's kind of water under the bridge at this point. There was a couple things that we were lacking in order to get the audits completed. The 2024 audit has been completed. The 2025 audit, in speaking to the auditor, he said he was going to apply for an extension on our behalf, and that apparently didn't happen. I tried to get in communication with him and I have not heard back from him yet. But the only thing hanging up the process at this point is him to sign off on the audit. And in speaking with him, my understanding was that would be a pretty quick process for the 25 fiscal year, because it was very much similar to the 24 fiscal year.